Today I'm gonna do a video reaction to 7 of all the comments, there are 30 plus, that I received under the Avoid Date Rape video. That was the video that I made about a case that exploded in Romania. That's where I'm from. It was debated in the press, somewhat in the social media. Right now it seems to have died down, like it just exploded for a week, I think, and then that was it. However, this video is getting a lot of comments and I want to address some of those here, all right? Hi, this is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Welcome back to my channel. Here, I help you get your orgasmic intimacy. Or today, we're just going to get a bit of wisdom into some situations where men and women see it differently. Yes, there are exceptions, both men and women that understand the other perspective, and then both men and women that understand where to stop and how to not let things get into a crazy situation. However, some of these comments are gonna show you the difference. Okay, so first comment that I'm gonna read to you is this one. What about the fact that some women say no just because they like a guy to chase them? How are men supposed to understand that, and how are they supposed to make the difference with no means no? So I actually answered to this comment, and I wrote there that regardless of the stupid games that some people play in dating where they say no but they want the opposite, and it's just a mind game because if they're straightforward it kind of kills the mood for some people. Okay, let's put that aside. This topic, this entire topic, date rape, this was about physical intercourse where somebody says no at the beginning, right before, during, and the other person still proceeds to doing the stuff that the one person said no to. Okay, so in physical sex, whether it began or it hasn't begun yet, when somebody says no, it's a goddamn no, and nobody moves forward from there onward. Unless you want to get into the kind of trouble that this guy got into. Now, sadly, if you're going to watch that video, I'll link it under this one. Sadly, in society, this guy is shunned right now. He is cast from his entire... This was a journalist, man, accused by another journalist, woman, of rape, many years ago. And this guy, because he was involved in sexual education projects, he's now seeing his career canceled, and nobody wants to work with him, at least not officially. And it wasn't just one woman, because 2 other women came out in the press and revealed a pattern. Okay, a pattern of lack of sexual education. So if anybody wants to play the game of no doesn't actually mean no, but I'm saying no because I don't want to seem, I don't know what, or I don't want to give in too easily or whatever. Okay, people are not straightforward for a variety of reasons. In physical sex, there's no room for that kind of game. Not today, not in today's society. Okay, wherever you go on the planet, people have internet right now. Every country on this planet has heard of the Me Too movement, and every country on this planet understands rape in more details. So to this comment here, what's the guy's name? So Jean-Paul, no means no in sex. Okay, if you want to proceed after you hear a no or after somebody says a no, well, up to you. That's on you. Take responsibility for whatever comes next. Honestly, I wouldn't advise anybody, if no is said in anything physical, stop it. You know, try something else, or just like totally something else, not the thing that was said no to, or just, you know, call it quits and that's it. I think you will suffer the frustration of the moment, but not risk in the long run maybe your career. Like this guy is not, I don't really think that's okay, because nobody wants to work with him, period. Not just around sexuality projects. Nobody wants to work with him, period. I don't think that's a solution either. Like casting people away from society entirely, we're just sowing the seeds for a bigger scandal or a bigger storm down the line. That's my opinion. When you cast somebody away completely, no, like no option to work in any place. This is what this guy's faced with right now. Awful. Next comment, this is from a fellow Romanian, and He had a reaction to something that I said in the video. I'm going to read the comment first. How you react in other parts of your life. True. I'm not a specialist, but I have my theory about the fact that the guy who did this was a little bit overweight. And my guess is that it's the same way, for example, when smaller people buy bigger cars. My theory, or rather my guess also, is that people exposed to this, like Adina was the Romanian journalist that was accusing rape, might develop an above average need for hygiene, and I guess that's what happened to her. Just a guess. And sometimes people exposed to this, like Adina, feel the need to travel to another country, like running or escaping from a bad memory. It might be a symptom. So I actually replied to this comment and I said that I wouldn't venture to assume what may have happened to her after that situation happened in her life. So after she was raped. She did reveal in the public expose that her life had not been the same. She had not recovered entirely. She went for years of therapy, but what happened back then really affected her. And the reason she spoke out just now, so 9 years later, was because she was seeing the rapist, her rapist, awarded on stage for sexual education work. That was the thing that triggered her. That's why, after 9 years, she wasn't doing well. He was doing sexual education projects, and then he was up on a stage to collect an award in the name of a publication, not in his full name, okay? So it wasn't just for his work. But that was too much, and that's what triggered her, and then she told the whole thing in social media and then in the press. Now, I don't want to start to assume what may have happened to her, like how her life was affected in other areas aside from intimacy. The after effects of post-traumatic symptoms after such an experience are actually to be taken into therapy, and they need to be worked through slowly, sometimes in years. Okay, it takes a long time to heal something like that. Healing is not an easy process. It involves a lot of stages. So leaving such a comment like this online, this is not something that I want to do. I do know that when you go through a traumatic situation, it will affect you, not only in the field or in the area where that situation happened, but their lives overall will be affected, and they will have their behavior transformed and make a lot of life choices that, are impacted by that trauma. So I would totally not assume what this woman or the other 2 women that came out in the press, how their lives were affected, what they did as a consequence of that, what they chose to do, none of that, okay? I would totally avoid this. Now we're going to move on to the next comment. This would not solve the problem altogether, but remove alcohol out of the equation. Over 50% of sexual assaults involve alcohol intoxication on the part of the offender and/or victim. Another factor is the age of offenders. The male brain is wired like a teenager until the age of 25. Men cannot read the body language of women and other cues that would suggest they do not want sex. It is then no surprise that many sexual assault offenders fall under age 25, especially on university campuses. This is not an excuse, but a scientific fact that needs to be recognized if looking for solutions. Another factor is couples do not know how to convey consent. This goes for both men and women. Legal consent is not really discussed adequately in sex education classes, and people fail to communicate about these issues even if they are a couple. Yes, I do agree with what this person said. I think it's a man because he refers to men as men, but women as females. Women are women, okay? I'm not going to get into the discussion of what is a woman. I'm not going to discuss it. This is just my answer. A woman is a female human adult, or an adult human female. If you want to talk female, you're talking all the species in the animal kingdom, not just human. So this is probably a guy, because women don't call themselves females. Okay, probably guys don't call themselves males. They call themselves men. So what this guy said here, yes, that's exactly what I was saying in that other video. Remove alcohol, first of all, for especially the offenders. Secondly, I don't know. I don't know if most of them fall under the age of 25. I don't know if this guy has any statistics. I don't know if it's only for the United States or for other countries on the planet also. We don't talk year after year on the rape statistics, done by whom, what age category, was there alcohol involved or not, was there sexy clothing involved or not, were they acquainted with each other or not. So this kind of in-depth discussion isn't had, at least not in my country. I don't know in other parts of the planet. It is true that I don't really have the bandwidth to deal with this kind of topics very often. For some people that are a bit more sensitive, the details of such things can affect them. So in my work, I try to focus on the constructive, like how to avoid it, and not look at what statistics say, because a lot of the statistics are done on negative stuff. Not so many statistics on the happy couples, on their age, on whether how much alcohol or not they're drinking. Okay, there aren't any happy statistics. There are miserable, unfortunate, traumatic statistics by the dozen. I would look at happy statistics anytime, honestly. So I don't know where this guy gets his assumptions or numbers that he presents here, or says that the majority fall under the age of 25. I know that rape can happen at any age for the offender or for the victim. And yes, alcohol is definitely to be avoided. Secondly, when it happens in couples, it is because either alcohol, the people didn't hear properly, and if your brain is infused with alcohol, yeah, it can totally process things off in an off way. Legal consent, well, they were both of legal age, so that's one. Legal consent, what is it? If somebody said no and the other person just keeps going for whatever reason, that's legal rape. Nothing in the law, the law doesn't, I don't know how you could put it in a law where if the person froze, those are psychological terms, okay, fight, flight, freeze. If the person goes into freeze, how can that be written in the law? If a person is frozen, that's a no. Okay, we're talking about legal consent here. So legal consent is just yes or no. There's a lot of debate about the implied yeses or the implied nos, but those are to be proven case by case. I don't think the law can cover all situations. Okay, moving on to the next comment. I haven't watched the whole video. I'm not condoning this guy's behavior, but as women, we need to take precautions. If we don't want to be placed in this position, don't drink alcohol with the guy, and don't invite him back to your dorm apartment, and don't go to his place. Go home alone. For men, the urge to have sex is really strong and their inhibition is diminished with alcohol. Plus, this guy may have felt entitled since they had sex before. Once men get the green light, it's hard to turn it to red. Once again, I am not excusing his behavior. Rape is rape. The pragmatist is the person that, a woman, that wrote this comment, and yeah, I totally agree with her. Remove alcohol from the situation. No good things in life are done with alcohol. That's my take on it. Otherwise, they would let us drive with alcohol, do sports with alcohol, go to swim being drunk, go to climb a rock or a mountain while being drunk and all of that. Like, if you want to enjoy physical stuff, leave alcohol aside, okay? If you just want to drink alcohol, like, drink it and that's it. Honestly. And I know it falls on almost deaf ears, at least for men. But women will definitely understand this way better. Okay, we stand a lot to risk here, and no woman wants to be raped. No woman wants to go through a miserable, intimate experience. Like, this needs to land. I said it in the previous video, I'm saying it now also. So if we don't want to go through that, ladies, okay, we gotta learn early on somehow, don't freaking drink alcohol. Don't get drunk. And if you feel that you're drunk, have somehow the strength to pull yourself out of the place you're in without anybody else, okay? No dude coming with you to accompany or no. Pull yourself out of it, go to a safe place, and that's it. Wait until the fumes get out of your system. Really, drink lots of water. Am I one to speak this? Well, at the age of 24, I actually almost caved into a situation with alcohol. Okay, I don't like to drink, never did. And I was pressured into it like it was an entire group of people, and they were like, drink, 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 drink. So I had one shot, and instantly I felt that I couldn't, because I was angry at the manipulation, and there was a guy that I liked, and he was like, oh, come on, it's not so bad. When I tried to tell him, you know what, why don't I see you go through this? But my words were just going like this. He saw it, that I was drunk just from one shot. I felt it, like my mouth wasn't moving properly. My words came out all wrong. So I said, you know what, screw this. Like, I just told the guy I didn't care about the group. I walked out, it was at the seaside, so I lied down on the beach. I called a friend, a woman friend, and I was gazing at the stars, and I think I had a bottle of water. I think somebody, because they saw that I wasn't feeling well, they gave me a bottle of water. I was on my own on that beach. Nobody came because it wasn't that late, and beaches in Romania at the beginning of 2000s were safe. And to my knowledge, they are safe now also. So I just stayed there, I think for I was on the phone for an hour or even more, gazing at the stars, drinking that water. I felt the whole ground spinning with me in all directions. The freaking dude didn't come, and thank God for that. And when I was able to walk, I got up and I walked back to my camp. I was in a tent with a lot of other colleagues at the time. And that's it. And I was 24. A bit older than this woman. She was, I think, 20 at the time. But, not that much older. But you can, when you know that this isn't something that you want, you can totally control it. When you don't know, you can't. When you think that it's okay to, blend in and give in to that, because a lot of other people stayed the whole night and they had not just one shot, but more shots. And they combined beer with, tequila. That was a shot of tequila that I had. With wine, whatever. They were just, it was a mess. Really, it was a mess. That's how students partied back then. And I was like, dude, no, this isn't fun. What's the fun in it? Anyway. So when you know that this isn't fun, you totally can't control it, even as a woman. When you don't, or you want to blend in and you don't want to be the weirdo, because I was the weirdo back then. I was the party pooper, the serious one that didn't want to, there was no fun. They didn't call me an old lady because I still am good with sports. No old lady did the kind of sports that I did. So at least that one, they didn't dare to call me that. But, I didn't really care to be popular or accepted in a group of drunken people. For me, partying was different. But, so yeah, what this woman says, true. It's not easy, especially for women that want to blend in. For guys, I don't even want to get into it because I'm not a guy, and probably there are some things that I just can't understand. What's their attraction to alcohol? I just cannot. Okay, next comment from Joe Brown. The way for a woman to avoid date rape is to never accept free dinner, drinks, or any other gift from a man on the first date. Parents tell children to not accept candy from strangers. Same principle. Because with gifts come obligations. From a man's perspective, there's nothing worse than buying dinner for a woman and acting a charming gentleman for 2 hours only to get nothing but ghosted. Well, I gave this guy a heart, this comment actually, not this guy, a heart, because I do agree with him that in dating, gifts are not gifts, they are leverage. I've had this experience also, and it was from a much older man. And in my case, it wasn't like what he expected in return was not sex, but it was to give a job to a relative of his in the NGO that I had funded. Okay, that was in exchange for his gift, which was in the form of these formal clothes. He wanted me to hire one of his nieces. So when I saw that and I explained to him why I could not do that, he kept pushing. So I took my wallet out and I paid the guy the money that he had paid for those 2 formal outfits on the spot. Yeah, it was my whole, or almost my entire income for that month, but I did it anyway. He actually pleaded with me not to do that because it was humiliating to him. And I said, look, the only reason why you're pushing this, although I'm telling you why I can't hire your niece right now, is because of this gift that you gave me. So here's the money, because I don't want there to be any, any debt between us. Call this even, and that's it. I cannot hire your niece, but I can definitely give you back the money if this is what you expected in return. And that's what I did. And also, I always knew that if somebody wanted to pay me something, like on a date out or something, whenever I didn't want to have absolutely any freaking thing with the person, I took out my wallet and I insisted I put the cash on the table for my consumption. I think in Romanian, consumption means what you ordered. I think in English it's a different thing. Okay, so for my part of the order, I put the money there. And that's another principle that I always did. Whenever I went dating with somebody, I made sure that I bought or ordered only the stuff that I had the money on the spot to pay for. No more. Like, that's it. Because I knew somewhere, I don't know, like nobody told me this. I just knew it, that I didn't want to owe anything to anyone. And I didn't accept favors. I was reluctant to ask for favors for people in general. The whole thing with make friends with people in positions of power, I can't do that. Like, I suck at that, even if I try to. So there's something in my makeup with this. Yeah, it makes for a pretty not successful, socially speaking, life, but it makes for a peaceful life also. So I totally agree with this guy. Yeah, don't accept anything. Gifts are not gifts in dating. They are leverage. And sadly, in long-term relationships, when somebody buys a really expensive thing to the other person, and then sometime later they have a fight or something, a lot of the times that expensive gift that was bought is brought up in a nasty way. So people don't know how to make gifts. Like, true gifts are the one that you give and then you forget that you gave. In the sense that, not that you forget that you don't care. You forget meaning the tab is 0. Okay, there's no money owed to you. You bought that because you wanted to. That's it. You don't reproach it down the line. You don't ask for the money in return down the line. You don't ask for favors for that down the line. Period. In politics, gifts are totally leverage, and everybody knows that. Okay? You get a favor now, you're going to pay for it later. But that's politics. If we want to have happy lives, okay, we got to forget the tab score. If we want to be in politics, sure, make gifts and always keep a track of who you gifted what. That's how I see it. Okay, moving on to the next comment. Well, I'm a heterosexual man, and I have never in my life ever hit on a woman for sex, but I will have to say I have had quite a few women during my lifetime to hit on me for sex, and I have turned them down because I don't have and never have had a desire to have a random sexual encounter with strange women. I replied to this guy and I said, congratulations, really, honestly. I think that's really the best way to go about it. And as a guy, you're probably well off on your own that way, because nobody down the line is going to come and say, you know what, this guy in the past, he abused me, he raped me, he whatever. I don't know how he does it. Like, I don't know how old this person is, in what generation he was born, what kind of messages he was exposed to at the time, what kind of upbringing he had in his family, and what kind of role models. But, you know, I think that's the way to go about it, even as women. It's much better than to go randomly with this guy or that guy. I don't even want to get into the hygiene stuff of casual sex. Like, believe me, I've said this in other videos. Hookup culture is the daughter of porn culture. But in porn culture, there's one thing that those people do that in hookup culture, it is not done. Those people get regular checkups, and the hygiene and the contraception is on point. On point. Nobody risks to have diseases, to have unwanted pregnancies because they're out of a job. This thing never landed with the hookup culture, sadly. So if for any lady out there, if you don't want to look at the grim reality, I don't know, if you ever knew with how many other women, the guys that you casually date, have had sex, and how proper hygiene they have, you know, at least somebody needs to put this perspective to you, okay? With casual sex, people would go bankrupt if they were to take tests every time. So that's another thing, or another reason why I don't really advise hookup culture. Okay, and the last comment that I chose for today, here it is. She whispered no and never pushed or yelled, and it's rape. Her mother was right, silly. I left my answer on screen because I think that it's, if you ask me, I don't think he's interacting with too many women. Like, I don't think he's getting it with this kind of mentality. You don't have to end up screaming, pushing, and yelling. No, for it to be rape. That's ignorance to the excellent level. And what I actually told this guy is that he's ignorant in his perspective right now. That's one. Sadly, for him, stuff like that is seen as it is in society. In our country, at least, this guy that did the stuff is seen as a rapist right now. Yeah, he's also shunned. Like, he's paying a very high price for it. If this guy, Rubicon 1, whoever this guy is, wants to think that only if a woman pushes and yells and screams and cries and shouts, that's rape, and anything else is not, well, that's not a guy that I would ever, not even 10 million lifetimes from now, if I were to reincarnate 10 million times from now on. And if he were the last one on the planet, that is not somebody that I would want to engage with. Best of luck to him, honestly. So those were the comments. I would love to know what you guys think of these comments and the reactions. Also, check out that other story linked under this video, because it's something that I feel most of us need to at least listen to or go through once as a discussion. Okay, that's it. I will see you next time with another video. Bye.